Italy's far-right government has passed a decree it hopes will save its controversial immigration plan that's aimed at deterring migrants by sending them to detention camps in Albania. Judges in Rome struck down the original plan, ruling that the first batch of asylum seekers shipped to Albania had to be brought back to Italy. That's because their countries of origin were not deemed safe for them to return to. Under the new decree, the government has shortened the list of countries considered safe, excluding Cameroon, Colombia and Nigeria. It's effective immediately, meaning that Rome can repatriate migrants from 19 countries who didn't win their asylum claim. Italy's interior minister has rejected criticism of the plan, saying it is in line with EU law.
The decree is in line with what was established by the European Court of Justice. Specifically, with this goal, we have deleted 3 countries from the original list, because there was the so-called territorial exception, which means that during the assessments made on those countries, there were parts of the territory where there were several issues that were not allowing us to define them as completely safe in their entirety.
Let's bring in DW's Jack Parrock in Brussels to make sense of this. So, Jack, can you explain something? Italy hopes its migration deal will stand now that it's dropped 3 countries from its safe list. But the migrants that were returned to Italy from Albania on court orders were from other countries, Egypt and Bangladesh. What's going on here?
Yeah, it's a complicated situation, but essentially this decree isn't so much about the names of the country on that list, but rather the Italian government taking control of the list. So the idea of the decree is that now Italian judges will refer to this list that the Italian government deems as safe countries and that the government can update it every 6 months, rather than an old system which meant that it still came under EU law. Back on October the 4th, judges at the European Court of Justice, which is the EU's top court, which all judges across the EU's 27 countries refer to as the sort of primary court in the European Union, those judges ruled that if in a country there are parts which might not be safe for somebody to be sent back to, that even if the whole country is considered safe, that if some of it isn't safe, then it can't be considered a safe country. And that's what happened with the Egyptians and the Bangladeshis that were initially sent to these Albanian processing centres. And Italian judges found that some of them, if they were repatriated back to those countries, could face persecution, potentially violence. Each individual case has its own individual issues, and that's why they were all sent back to Italy. So what this decree that the Italian government is trying to do, it's not so much about Colombia, Cameroon and Nigeria, although they're interesting in their individual cases. It's about the Italian government trying to retake control of what is considered a safe country in Italy.
What are the chances of this amended migration deal actually holding up?
A really, really big question. It's very difficult. It's a big embarrassment for the Italian government, which has spent many millions of euros setting up these migrant processing camps in Albania. There's been a lot of fanfare. It was politically very popular among the base of people that vote for anti-immigration far-right parties like Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister's party, because it meant that potentially migrants crossing the Mediterranean Sea from North African countries would never actually set foot on Italian soil. That's something that they wanted to do. The reality of migration, and anybody that works in this sector, especially in EU migration, is that the politics can be very loud, but really what it comes down to is the legal side of things. This is really lawyers who deal with migration. Who is a safe person? Who is a safe country? Who needs international protection? And immediately what this deal has faced is a legal loss in the Italian courts, and the Italian government is now clearly scrambling to save it. Hard to say whether they will be able to get these processing centres really up and running.
DW correspondent Jack Parrock in Brussels and in the weeds there, but making it all very clear. Thank you, Jack.